pass to Wardlaw. She gets free Bates, hands it to O'Dwyer. The left foot snap around the body. Brilliant.
Butler. Allen's back out there, great to see. Stepping through, lovely work. King lines it up, goes for it, and kicks a wonderful goal.
Hello and welcome to the W Show, brought to you by NAB. I'm Riley Beveridge, filling in for Nat Edwards this week. The games are coming in thick and fast. Nat needed a break, so I'll be here throughout the morning. I'm joined, as always, by Sarah Black. Sarah?
Riley, good to see
starting
you.
to heat up in the AFLW season, isn't it?
It really is. It's starting to we're getting to crunch time now, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next few weeks.
I'm also joined by Collingwood star Bri Davey. Bri, how you going?
Good, Riley. Thanks for having me on. Fun to be here.
10 days post-op. How's the knee going?
Yeah, look, not too bad. It's still pretty sore. If you asked me this a few days ago, probably worse. But look, I've been looked after pretty well, and a lot of support around me. So the girls all at Collingwood have been unreal, getting me to trainings, and can't drive for a little while, so I'm really relying on people. But feeling pretty good, considering I'm 10 days post-op.
And how have you gone watching on from the couch? What sort of supporter are you, Bri?
I'm very loud, I'll say that much. But no, look, it's been tough. Like, of course, I want to be out there with the girls and be able to be out there supporting them on field, but I'm just doing my best at the moment to support them off field as much as I can and get to trainings, get around the girls and, just be there for them in a different way.
And how does that, come across, that sort of off-field support? Is it, is it identifying things in games and going, you know what, Tani, just bring you over here, I'll just say X, Y, Z, is it that sort of thing? Yeah,
definitely. I think a little bit of support in terms of things that I see from a football perspective, but just even things like if there are girls struggling with certain things, whether it's mentally or whatever, they can come to me and chat, and I'll just be there for a bit of a shoulder. And when I do see things, whether it's structurally or whatever out there, I'll try and put my 2 bobs worth in as well with the coaching staff and things like that.
Well, Bri, your Pies were involved in a pretty fierce battle on Sunday against the Kangaroos. It's turning into one of the AFLW's most fiercest rivalries. Speaking before the game, this is what Chloe Malloy had to say on the contest.
Well, Sam, any team that doesn't have the black and white on, I seem to dislike. So there's rivalry with everyone, but especially with North Melbourne. And the root of it probably is, we've come up against them in 2 semis. They beat us by 5 points, so I'm still a bit bitter on that one. We beat them. We came back from 3 goals. So we always seem to come against them in finals. But back in my second year at the Pies, there was a couple of trades that went on, and they had their reasons for moving on, but I was pretty loyal to the club. So I'm a loyal person. It just hurt a bit, and that's probably a root of it.
Sarah, we've seen rivalries across the AFLW begin to develop. In-state rivalries, for the Q Clash over the weekend. In terms of Victorian rivalries, is the AFLW's biggest now, do you think?
I think it is, possibly more so than, Collingwood, Carlton, we've sort of adopted from the men's competition, but in terms of a homegrown one, I feel like this is really developing. Just the 2 sides bring the best out of each other, and like Chloe alluded to there, there's been a bit of crossover. Jazz Garner, Jess Duffin, Emma King and Mo Hope all made the switch at the start of the Roos list build, and Scott Gowans went the other way as a coach. So been a bit of crossover, and we've just seen some ripping matches.
Bri, you've played in these games. What makes them so special?
Yeah, I think, like Sam mentioned, I think we do, like the teams just bring the best out in each other, and the way we play, I think, really combats each other as well. So it's always a pretty fierce contest. So I think it's that. I think, like Chloe sort of mentioned, we've had some really close games with North as well, and they pipped us a couple of years ago in the prelim, then we got them in the next year in the prelim. So I think there's a little bit of rivalry coming and stemming from that. And when we get out there, it's just, like I said, we compete, and it's just something that we want to try and win.
One of those players that switched from Collingwood to North Melbourne a couple of years ago was Jazzy Garner. She was unbelievable on Sunday. 26 disposals, 6 marks, 3 tackles, 3 goals. Sarah, do you think this was the best individual performance of the season so far? It's certainly up there. And I think Jazz, she sort of had a bit of a slower start to the season by her lofty standards, but just the impact that she can have. I think Kiara Bowers probably have a claim to a few strong performances. She had 28 touches and 16 tackles against the Tigers, which is not a bad day's work. But it's sort of the marking ability and the goal-kicking ability that Jazz has that sets her apart, Bri.
Oh, definitely. I think Jazzy, she's just one of those players, like you've mentioned, the impact that she has with her touches is the main thing, and she can fly in the air and compete in the air. She's good at ground level, really strong hands, and her skills are phenomenal as well. So when she's in front of goals, she's going to finish her work. So she's an absolute gun, definitely one of my favourite players in the comp, and I love watching her play.
been a bit of an indifferent past month for Collingwood. Yep. What do you think is the biggest talking point out of this game? What do you think you can take out of this game moving into the back end of the season? Because the race for the finals is starting to heat up now. You're still in that 6th position. How do you get the ship back on the right path?
Yeah, look, it's been, I mean, in build-up to this season, obviously there's a lot of external noise and we try to squash that a lot internally. Obviously there was things like players' favourites, things like that, and I think sometimes when that's put on a team, it can build some pressure. And for me, I think it's just literally just going back to the basics and just making sure we stick to the process. And not that we haven't been doing that, but I just think that it's something that you can't try to go too far out of what you're doing. You just need to try and get the basics right. And at the end of the day, the team who does the basics better out there, I would say usually wins the game of footy. So that'll be our focus, take it each week. But yeah, it's heating up towards the finals and the pressure's building, but we'll be all right. We'll stick together and put our heads down.
It's going to be another couple of big games on the horizon. Adelaide got a big win on Saturday, Arvo. Eb Marinoff became the first player in AFLW history to reach 1,000 disposals. It means she's averaged 21 touches and 8.5 tackles a game throughout her 48-game Crows career. What makes her such a special player, Sarah?
I think it's just her work rate for a start. Also, what has to be noted here is that when Eb started, she was known as a tackling player. That was her biggest strength, not necessarily her ball accumulation. But the way that she's developed her game, her long kicking and her clearance work, has held her in really good stead, Bri.
Oh, definitely. I think, as well with Eb, I think I remember at the start she was just this bullocking mid and she'd get the footy and sort of whack it on a bit and gain territory, which is super important in the women's game, as we know. But I think the next level for her was getting those skills and being able to just sort of grab the ball out of a tight situation and then pin hit a player. And I think that's been the evolution in her game. And like you mentioned, Sarah, her work rate is unbelievable. She's always around the footy. I've heard, her friends talk about her and say how dedicated she is, even outside of training, just to get her body right and make sure she's as fit and ready to go as possible.
I think we all held our breath late in the game when Erin Phillips grimaced a little bit after taking a mark, went down with a knee injury. The Crows coming out and saying after the game that it's nothing more serious than a sprain to her left knee. Of course, she ruptured that ACL in 2019, Sarah.
Yeah, so good news, for the Crows, I think in a short-term basis, they may, she's such an important player to them. I wouldn't be surprised if she's rested this week, just give her a bit of a chance to recover fully. They've got a few games in hand, the Crows, so, worst comes to worst, they can afford to drop one, and they do have incredible depth. So protect Erin Phillips at all costs, so she can be fit and firing when it comes to finals.
Well, Carlton needed a victory on the weekend. They got it against St Kilda, holding the Saints to the equal lowest score in competition history. There was some brilliant performances in their backline. Aloifi was great. Gab Pound, a former All-Australian, returned to her best form. Do you see this Carlton side as still having a fair bit to say in the year, Sarah?
Yeah, well, they've got through the hard part of their fixture. I think that'll help them enormously. They'll take a lot of confidence out of this game as well, which will really help the likes of the young players coming through, Keely Shara, even Georgia G was in excellent touch. But like we mentioned, the Blues backline, Bri, it's just so tight-knit, and I think a lot of that has come on the back of experience and playing together.
Definitely. I was going to say, I think it is that experience, and even when I was there, that sort of tight-knit backline was always a real strong point of the team. I think obviously they've lost a few experienced players over the sort of build up to the season, things like that, which I think definitely has an effect on a young group. But I agree. I think they'll take confidence out of this game, and I think they will try and have a bit to say. I think for the remainder of the season. It
was interesting that St Kilda, as a young side, Carlton's actually younger than them on the weekend, Bri. What can they get out of their last few games for the season, the Saints? Because they've struggled throughout the year, yet to win a game. What do you think their main focus should be in the remaining games?
I think, look, it's getting their players experience. They are a young group. Like you mentioned, the Blues are a bit younger, but they are still quite young and they're a building list. And I think they've sort of got to look at this year as an opportunity to improve. And I know that over the last few years it's been tough for them, and this year in particular, I think they had a bit high hopes that they might be pushing for more wins and things like that. But sometimes it's not to be. And I think, again, you've got to sort of shift your focus. You're not going to be in finals, so give your young ones a go. Make sure that you're trying to get, your structures and things in place for, when you attack the following seasons.
All right, from the joint lowest score in AFLW history to the third highest in the Q Clash, Brisbane absolutely thrashing their rivals, Gold Coast. Courtney Hodder winning the Q Clash medal, 17 disposals, 4 tackles and 2 goals. Sarah, she's been in some pretty hot form recently.
Yeah, she really has. She's such an excitement machine, and I think, you know, she can just sort of get off the chain a little bit, especially against some of the weaker sides where, you know, the knock-on effect is they don't have a deep defence. So Courtney can absolutely run wild, as she did on the weekend. I think what was really interesting out of this, tough as nails.
Very tough.
Probably would have had worse knocks in rugby, actually. But the Lions really, you know, there was a bit of talk going into this game of, can this be the one that the Suns can get their first win over their rivals? But there's shown that there's still quite a significant gap between Brisbane and Gold Coast.
Definitely. And I think Hodder, she's just one of those players, even when, you know, she sort of does build into the season, even when she's maybe not getting heaps and heaps of touches, she's a player that teams just need to worry about, because if she does get her hands on it, she can make things happen. She sort of just pops up from the ground. So, yeah, she was phenomenal for them, and, yeah, it was good to see the contest on the weekend.
Well, Brisbane does battle with Melbourne on Monday night. The winner joins Adelaide, Freo and North in vying for the minor premiership. Docker Michaela Morrison and son Ali Hampson claim NAB AFLW Rising Star nominations in round 6. Let's get to know Ali a little bit better.
I still have them with me. I took them down when I moved. It's like a Woody toy, Woody and Bullseye, the little horse that he rides on. Yeah, I live here now, so can I still say I guess the Gold Coast. Like, I used to come here with my family when we could. Sushi bowl, love it, like a good sushi bowl with a lot of Kippy mayo. Fun. With it, I love her, but she throws a bit of chat. I couldn't pick one. I've got too many close friends. I'd probably get pinned if I said one and not the other. Probably the obvious Tuke Miller. You know, yeah, he's just a gun. Awesome to watch, and yeah. Probably Justin Bieber's whole album, like his most recent, any one of his albums actually, just the whole thing. I went to the drive-ins to watch the new Spider-Man because I didn't want to get COVID, so I went to the drive-ins, and yeah, it was sick. Don't know if anyone remembers, but like when I was 12, so probably like, I don't know, just 8 years ago, there used to be the thick Lorna Jane headbands, and I used to wear them like when I played soccer every game, and just gave the worst tan line, and they were just a massive thick band. It was just not a thing. I shouldn't have ever done it.
That was Ali Hampson. Our NAB AFLW Rising Star nominees will also receive a $250 voucher from card.gift. For the best range of gift cards, head to www.card.gift. Bri, do you have a most annoying teammate?
There's too many to count, really. But no, I reckon Ruby Slasher and Sarah are pretty much up there. So
I think they might say that about each other as well.
I think they would, yeah.
All right, let's head to the ladder now, because as we mentioned before, it's all starting to heat up. The race for the minor premiership, Adelaide, Freo and North, currently 6-1. Melbourne and Brisbane could join them. And then there's a big battle vying for the top 6 there with Collingwood and the Western Bulldogs. And Gold Coast, who play each other on Tuesday night, can join the Pies in joint 6. Sarah, how do you see it unfolding from here?
Yeah, the doggies are coming, aren't they? They've got a bit of momentum behind them. They're sort of hitting their stride at the right time, and they've got a relatively healthy list now, which I think has held them in good stead. As you can see here, the Suns, that'll be a huge match this week, and Bri, your Pies, I think that can be a deciding factor in the battle for the top 6.
Oh, definitely. I think that's definitely a game that will be a very interesting one, and we know that the doggies, when they're on, they can be very dangerous. So for us, we'll obviously, each week as it comes, but I know that doggies game is definitely going to be a big battle.
An 8-point match, do you think?
yeah, I think so. It's going to be close, I reckon. But hopefully our mob get over them.
Could be a real final before the final. All right, let's have a look at what's trending on social media in the buzz. This caught our eye over the weekend. Adelaide debutant Brooke Tonnan, photo with Chelsea Randall. It's funny now, Sarah, you mentioned before how we're getting to that stage where the young AFLW players have got these pictures from their past, where they've got pictures with veterans now.
I know, it's actually really quite a nice little aspect. We love it in the men's, and to see it across to the women's is great.
All right, and this is Phoebe McWilliams posted this photo from 2007 of a Country v Metro clash. Meg Hutchins, Steph Chiocci, Moana Hope, Daisy Pearce, Lauren Arnell, many more involved in that. And this is one you put up, Bri, of your sister. Hi, boys, she's single, hit her up. Holly.
She's going to love this attention, by the way.
Any guys sliding in her DMs after that?
She's had a few. Like, she's told me to let people know, if you look like Tom Hardy or Damon on Vampire Diaries, hit her up, slide in there, and she's yours.
High standards and incredibly specific. I love it.
Exactly.
You've got to
wear
have
the
higher
VR.
standards. All right, well, it's Indigenous round coming up in AFLW, one of our favourite rounds of the season. Here are some of the game's best Indigenous players talking about what the round means to them.
Hi, my name is Christopher Trevsky and I'm a proud Gidjanjara woman from Halls Creek in Western Australia, and I play for the Melbourne Demons Football Club. The language I will be speaking is my Gidja language. Birimbi Yauran means this is us mob.
Nayan Nimma.
So I'm playing here from the Carlton Football Club. I'm a Gamilaroi woman and this is us.
Hi, I'm Perry King and I play for the Kangaroos. I'm still finding out more about which mob I come from. Hear us, this is us.
Hey guys, it's Janet Bear from the Gold Coast Suns. I'm a proud Yolngu, Iwadja, Aranda and Tiwi woman from the NT. I'd just like to say in Yolngu Mata, hear us, this is us. Ngama Napurun, Dual Napuru.
Hi, my name's Caitlin Ashton. I play for the North Melbourne Football Club. My grandfather came from the Jar Jar Wurrung region. Hear us, this is us.
This is Ashanti Bush from the Gold Coast Suns. My mob are Bagala and Ginawinku mob. Ginawinku is from my dad's side of the tribe. The traditional language I speak is Creole and Ginawinku. This is us, hear us, Nagawaingat.
My name's Mia. I'm from North Melbourne. My grandmother comes from the Jawan and Mangarai tribes from Mataranka. Hear us, this is us.
Indigenous round coming up this weekend. Bri, it must be incredibly important to play in games like this.
Oh, absolutely incredible. And even, you know, seeing videos like that, it's just so cool to learn about the rich culture and history and about the different mobs the girls come from. And, yeah, to be able to wear the Indigenous jumper and represent those people, for me, I feel very proud to do that. And I know a lot of the girls at Collingwood and across the league do as well. Awesome.
Well, it's going to be a big round 8. Looking forward to some great clashes. I'm sure the top 6 could be defined by games like these that are about to come up. Thanks for joining us on the W Show, brought to you by NAB. For all the latest NAB AFL W information, don't forget to keep clicking back to women's.afl.